Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Dory. I am 46 years old. I had vertical sleeve gastrectomy weight loss surgery on September 12th, 2016 with Dr. Darren Tischler out of Hartford Hospital in Hartford, Connecticut. My highest recorded weight was 350 pounds. My day of surgery weight was 300.5. The lowest I've seen is 169.6. I'm trying to get to 160 is my goal. I've had some deterrents here and there, and I fluctuate lately between 180 and down to 178. I did the other day after Easter, this past Monday, I actually had fluctuated all the way up to 184. Today I'm 180. I have started to get back on track with Erica from Time to Shrink. She is my texting buddy. We text back and forth just to hold each other accountable, and it's been a great friendship. So I'm actually going to do a different video. Now I am breaking my fast. I have fasted since 3:30 yesterday afternoon, and now it's 9:30 a.m. So that is like, let me see, 3:36, 18 hours. So it is 9:30. As I said, I have about 5.5 ounces of food. I have 1 ounce of pork belly from Trader Joe's. I have 2 ounces of Easter kielbasa. I have 2 hard-boiled eggs, and I have cheddar cheese on top. I am hungry. But I actually figured that I would do a video of, like, when people come to my channel, recently, they may or may not look back at my first videos of the surgery, and in order to kind of see who a person is and kind of, how many kids do they have? Are they married? Are they single? Are they in school? What do they do for a living? Things of that nature. You have to kind of piece together a bunch of different videos. So I figured I'm going to do like a reintroduction video. And so I thought that would be fun. I'm not going to do questions. I'm just going to wing it. I'm just going to talk to you guys as if I'm just telling my life story and who I am and how I came to be here and yada yada. So I hope that's good for you guys. So yes, so I am a mom of 6. I have 6 kids. I have my oldest is a son named Daniel, and he's 28, and he just recently got married in September of last year to his wife, who is named January. She is 2 weeks short of getting her pharmacy degree. So she will be a full-fledged pharmacist. My son right now is a pharmacy tech. He will be going to nursing school. I believe he started some classes recently, and so that is his hope. My second child is named Sarah. She's 24, and she is a preschool teacher. And she has been for about 2 years. She lives with her boyfriend, and she is going to be buying her first home. I don't think that she's going to have the boyfriend when she does that. I'm not quite sure about that. I'll get back to you on that. So let's see. I don't have any grandchildren yet. I was married to their dad. I met him when I was 17 years old. I never had a boyfriend prior, and had been very naive. My parents and I never really had a great relationship. My mom and I were never close. So she really didn't teach me about the birds and the bees. And I think back, I was born in 72, and I think, back in the late 80s or whatever, I don't know if that was really talked about as much as it is now, or if it comes so easily now than it would have then. But basically, she didn't really teach me. And so at 17, having my first relationship, I became pregnant 3 months after I met him. He was not the nicest of people, and I definitely regret getting involved with him. But I made the best of it, and I was definitely made to be a mom, totally. And so I had my son at 18, and then um, I got pregnant with my daughter, and we got married while I was pregnant, and my dad passed away right about the same time that I found out I was pregnant with my daughter. My dad passed away of cancer, and then I ended up marrying him. That relationship really only lasted 10 years, 5 together, 5 married. Um, and then he decided, he did come to my church and he did become a disciple, and he did, he was living the Christian life for maybe about 9 months of that, and then he decided he was going to leave. um, he was very secretive. God totally kind of let the cat out of the bag with what he was doing. But basically, long story short, and if anybody's interested on me doing a video about that time, I don't mind. But long story short, there was a girl that he was working in the restaurant business, and he was a manager, and he was interviewing a girl for the position. And I knew the girl, and I wanted him to hire her, and so he did, and they began an affair. And so I found out, through a whole bunch of different things and a long story, but basically he was living with her across the street from the kids and I. And so we owned our own home at the time. This was an apartment building, and it was straight across the street. I had no idea that he was just basically going across the street carrying on this affair. He blackmailed my brother within this time frame. When my brother found out, my brother is an addict. And so he was blackmailing my brother to not tell me any details, because then he would tell on my brother for being an addict. That was in 1999. I, filed for divorce immediately, took out all his stuff out of my home, started healing from that situation, just becoming stronger for my kids and I. We went on to have, fine time, definitely was very hurtful when this all had happened. Fast forward about 6 months, and I found out that he actually had an affair with my best friend, which was actually his best friend's wife. I had introduced them, and he had an affair with her, which really crushed me even more than it did with the first girl, because this second girl was very close to the kids and I. And so that really crushed me. And so he, had this affair. It was definitely just a fling. And then he was back with that first girl, not for very long. And then he continued to just cheat on her and get into drugs and alcohol and things of that nature. During the time I was with him, so when I was 17, going to my weight problem and my weight history, I never had a weight problem. As a matter of fact, when I was 12 years old and 13 years old, I only weighed 76 pounds. And, I ate, I did my thing, but I was very active. And so I was never overweight until after I got pregnant with my son. And I think that it was a combination of being in this bad relationship that I really didn't know how to get out of, and then the pregnancy weight, and then you're stuck home, and there was just a lot. There was a lot of emotional garbage with this relationship. And so I just kept it on, and then after having my son, I remember I had him, I was 197 and a half after I gave birth, and this was in October of, when was he born? Oh my gosh, I can't even think. 1990. And so I gave birth to him, and then from that point, I just remember gaining more and more and more. And then I got pregnant with my daughter. She was born in September of 94. And I just never got it off. So when he left, I had actually started, before I found out about the affair, I started doing Nutrisystem and exercising to a VCR tape, which was, and that was back in 1999. Excuse me. And I started exercising to a VCR tape that was Richard Simmons' Dance Your Pants Off. I did it every day for 8 weeks. I believe I lost like 60 pounds or something within that time. Might have been a couple more months, but I lost 60 pounds, and then I lost an additional 15 pounds. And so by the time I filed for divorce, I had 75 pounds gone. Sorry, I better eat because I have to take my son to the doctor's today so we can talk medication for his ADHD and whatever else. Okay, so sorry. So, that was in 1999. 2000, my divorce was final. I retained the house, the car, all its contents. My ex-husband didn't want anything, probably because he was in the midst of, living the life that he thought was this dream, having woman after woman after woman, drugs, alcohol, you name it. I didn't stay involved with that. I just made sure that I hired a great attorney. I drew up an amazing divorce decree. Little side note, I love the law, and I definitely missed my calling on a detective. I find everything out. It's just, I have a sixth sense about things. I can feel things. I can see things. It's really kind of cool. And another side note that you might not have known about me is that I actually represented my friend's brother while he was on trial for murder. So that I can address at a different time. But I really do like the courtroom, and I really do, respect the law and all that. And so I kept very good records of the times that he was supposed to see the kids and the times that he did not show up for visitation, the times that he did not give me child support, and everything. His file is this thick, and I still have it. It is this thick of everything. Every motion that I filed, every, answer to his motions that he tried to file. And so, fast forward a couple of years, he became involved with his now wife. They have 2 children. She, out of everybody, really was, sorry, was great with my children. With visitation, the way that it works is, if it's ordered by a court, you don't really have a choice but to let the other parent take the children or the child. Whether or not that parent is good or bad or indifferent or whatever is going to happen, you have to take it up with the court to have it changed or modified. So over the course of all these years, before he met his now wife, I had to hand off my children to these women who he was involved with, who I had no idea who they were. But I knew by law, I had no recourse for that. I knew by law he had his visitation, whether he chose to spend it good or not, whether or not he even spent it with them or not, was not any concern of the court or anything. It was, I would have to modify it. It's just the way that the court system works, and it's fine. We did what we had to do. So fast forward, he met this woman who is now his wife. They have been married now for, I want to say 14 years maybe. She actually has filed for divorce, so they are actually soon to be divorced. And so that's nor here nor there. And so basically I went through that time, and, it was fine. I mean, I was single for like 5 years, 6 years before I met my now husband through our church. I've always had a great church family, great support. And so these years, that I was without my husband, my first husband, we're fine. It hurt in the beginning, but I gained so much from not being in that toxic relationship. And then, I don't regret anything that has happened. Like, I'm so thankful because I wouldn't have met my husband now. We have 4 kids. We met in 2004. There is a big age difference between us. He is 12 years younger than I am. But he has a very old spirit. We absolutely adore each other. We get along extremely well. He just adores me, and we respect each other, and we hold each other up, and that's fantastic. And so we met in 04, we got married in 06, and we had our first child in 08. We had a second child in 09. We had a third child in 2011, and we had our last in 2014, which she was a shock baby. He had a vasectomy, and we had our one last hurrah. And 2 weeks later, I had a positive pregnancy test. We were shocked. We were not thinking that we would have another baby. There was also some confusion on our part as a couple because he thought I was on the mini pill, it's called, birth control. And I had told him I wasn't on that because it was messing with my system. And so we didn't use any backup. And so at first he was very upset. He was felt very betrayed. And I had to come to realize that that was okay, that he felt that, and that I needed to own up on that maybe I did not tell him, made it clear. And possibly I probably wanted a baby more, one last than he did. So, it's a growing thing. I'm so sorry, guys, for eating. And so, yeah, so that is really what happened during that time. My parents, as I said, my dad died of cancer. My mom is still alive. She has heart conditions. She lives with my aunt. My mother made very bad decisions financially in her life, and so basically she has nothing. As I said earlier, my brother, who is an addict, he was molested when he was younger by a neighbor, and he turned to drugs and alcohol since the age of 5. He is now 40. He is turning 45. Actually, he just turned 45. Sorry, he just turned 45 a few days ago. And he lives in a rooming house. He has been clean for several years, although he is an alcoholic and drinks every single day. My mom is his enabler. She always has been. She always will be until the day of either one of their deaths. She will be his enabler. She will go without food, without anything, to give him money or to pay car insurance or whatever she has to do, which is totally sad. I do not give my mom money. I do, however, buy her groceries or things of that nature, or bring her gifts, or things like that, things that she cannot turn into support my brother. I have an older brother from my dad's first marriage. My dad was married prior to meeting my mom. They had a son named Gary, and he is maybe, I want to say he's 6 years older than me, around there. I don't even know how old he is. We don't really have much contact. He was brought up by his mom mostly, and he's very antisocial. He also struggles with his weight and struggled with his weight all his life. My 2 older children do not really have a relationship with their dad once in a while, but he basically borrows money. He definitely is, if people believe in karma, he is living his karma. He has diabetes. He's very thin. He is not healthy at all. As far as me, I am now, Chris and I have been married now for, this year will be, 13 years this November. He is amazing. He is everything I've ever dreamed of a man would be. He loves God first and foremost. We go to an amazing church. He was converted at his church. It's our church. We have a church. It's the International Churches of Christ. And we have a church in every city of 100,000 or more around the world. And he came from the New York City Church of Christ. As did his mom. His mom is a baptized disciple as well. His brother, one of his brothers, and his sister-in-law. So we're very fortunate. I don't know where my food issues came from. I grew up in a middle-income household. My dad worked most of the time. My mother definitely mismanaged all of our finances, but we always had snacks in the house, and we always had a home-cooked meal. The only thing I can contribute it to is hearing over and over that we needed to clear our plate and that there were starving children in China. Other than that, I never had any abuse. I had a lot of emotional problems, just with my dad being an alcoholic. My dad was an amazing man. Oh my gosh, so amazing. But he thought that he would drink to get rid of problems and solve problems, and it never did. Then he would become guilt-ridden, and then before I knew it, he developed cancer. He smoked very heavily. His mom passed away in 1990, and he passed away in 94. When I was pregnant with my son, she passed away. When I was pregnant with my daughter, he passed away. And so it goes on. But he was an amazing guy. Whether he drank or not, he just was, like, I think that's where I get a lot of my kindness from, is from him. I think I get a lot of my detective work and things of that nature also from his first wife, who I became friends with, because even though my mom was totally mad at me, my mom didn't exist when they were married. It really didn't matter. I mean, that was his first wife. There's no reason to hold a grudge on somebody. I invited her to my first wedding. My mom was not happy. But, I'm not going to hold a grudge because you feel like you need to hold a grudge. If she didn't do anything to me, I wasn't even born. I wasn't even thought of. And she was a wonderful lady. Wonderful. And so her brother and her uncles and everything were part of the police department back then. Her brother was the chief of police. My dad was also a police officer. And so I think that's probably where it came from, because my dad, although I'm not blood related to them, I grew up as though, that those were my my uncles, and I was always in the detective bureau. I was always given treats. Matter of fact, they're just redoing the detective bureau in the police department, which is right up the street from me. And they're just redoing it now from, like, when I went there in the 70s and early 80s. And it's hilarious because when I walked in there, like maybe 6 years ago, I went to go visit my cousin, and I brought the police department pizza. I do it like every 4 months or so. I bring them pizza and soda and sandwiches or whatever. But I went this one day, and I walked into the detective bureau, and I couldn't believe the flood of memories that came back, because it looked exactly the same from the 70s. So I'm glad they're getting a little facelift. So I'm trying to think. What else? I don't know. I think that's probably it. If you guys have any other questions about my life, let me know. I'll definitely share them. I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot. I've learned about food and emotions and being cheated on and mending a heart and helping tons of people go through that when it's happened to them. But yeah, so that's it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, anything. Love you guys.